Welcome to hOLA, a podcast of the Catholic community of Our Lady of Angels in Allen, Texas. Our hope is to reach out and stay in touch with our community in ways that are informative, community building, and fun. We start out each episode with a little bit of hOLA news, then we interview a guest, and then we close with a look at our personal journeys and a challenge or prayer for the community. I am Jennifer Hardy with co-host Rosemary Crocker.
Hello, everybody.
And this episode is coming out on May 22nd. So most of the schools are out and college kids are coming home and summer is upon us. So Rosemary, do you have any summer plans?
Yes, we are going to do one smaller trip and then a bigger trip. We're going to go down to Harlingen to see some good friends. So we'll get some good sun down there. And then later in the summer, my sister moved to Wisconsin last summer. So I've been missing her and we're going to go up to visit her. So that'll work out perfect because then we'll get cooler weather up there in July. So I'm looking forward to both of those trips.
How
nice about you,
to escape.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I was going to say nice to escape in July. It tends to be pretty hot.
Yes, very much. So what are you guys going to do?
Yeah, well, we've kind of already started. We had a wedding down in Louisiana, which is where I'm from, this past weekend. So we went there and we left my son with my sister there. So now we got to go back and pick him up. So that's kind of become our summer plans. We were thinking about doing that later in the summer, kind of spending some time in Florida with my sister. So we're actually going to be doing that soon, and just kind of a brief trip there and kind of see everybody and pick him back up. And then
lots
of course,
of time in the car.
Yes. Tons of time in the cars. We're driving both ways. So, yep. And then of course, after that, there's VBS. So nothing else planned other than that so far.
Well, a getaway is always good. So that'll be awesome.
Yes, definitely. All right. So let's look at what's going on in our community. Tomorrow, we are going to be having an infant baptism class. So that's May 23rd from 1 to 3. These classes happen kind of on a regular schedule. So you can register for them on our website, OurLadyOfAngels.com. And then Vacation Bible School registration is still going on. This is a great way to spend some family time together this summer. So let someone else do the planning and sign up today. You can find the registration for this also on our website. And I think I mentioned before in the podcast, we had a Just Faith group going called Just Engagement. And we recently wrapped up that program and visited with Congressman Van Taylor in support of the Equal Act. This was a really good experience, and we're hoping to continue to be advocates for what we believe in. And if you're interested in participating in future endeavors, please do reach out.
What an awesome experience for people. That's great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and one other thing that will be going on this summer, registration, of course, is closed, but Catholic Heart Camp, we have our youth that will be going to participate, and the destination was Oklahoma City, but now it is Memphis, and that'll be June 13th through 18th. So if we could get some people to be praying for our youth, praying for a safe journey there and back, that would be great.
All right. And up next, we have a fun interview with our newest staff member, Alyssa Woolums. Alyssa began her position here last summer, and she is our high school ministry coordinator. So stay tuned. Okay, so Alyssa, welcome to the hOLA podcast.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. We wanted to bring you in because you are one of you are our newest staff member, and we want to hear more about what's happening in high school ministry and just have our whole community really connected to that and to learn more about you and kind of your background and your plans. So we are super excited to talk to you also today. And I know you already know about the podcast because you are on staff, so you got kind of a clue in there. Um, so can you tell us a little bit about kind of your family, where you grew up, just kind of any kind of background stuff you want to throw at us?
Sure. I grew up actually not far from here in a very small town, Argyle, Texas. It's near Denton, Texas, if you know where that is. But
Sure.
yeah, growing up yeah, small town. I think when I was there were three stoplights, and that's kind of like how we described how big our town was. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
three stoplights. Um, so yeah, it was good. My family is, I'm from a big Catholic family. I am one of 9 children.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, and
So
that's
where are you in
really,
that? Are you?
actually, this is the proudest accomplishment of my entire life. I'm the exact middle child. So I have 4 older siblings, 4 younger siblings, and then I'm 10 years younger than the oldest and 10 years older than the youngest.
Wow.
So
That's
So
amazing.
symmetrical.
it's very symmetrical. Yes, perfection of just the middle. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and I'm sure being the only middle child, do you get all the middle child jokes from both your older siblings and younger?
Only a little bit,
No,
because we kind of just consider like all the middle children,
kind of group.
middle children. But yeah, we also have like we groupings. So we have like the older kids, and then there's like 4 of the middle kids, and then there's the 3 younger kids. Um, where it's just like age gap wise, that's where we fell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes
That's
sense.
awesome. I bet you guys have lots of fun family stories.
Yeah. A lot of fun times. A lot of people for those fun times, but yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can only imagine like the Thanksgiving table or trying to get everybody sitting down at once or
Yeah, so it's actually gotten to the point where, so all 4 of my older siblings are married, having kids. So when we get together, there's like the average is 20 people.
Well, great. So, move on to our next question. What inspired you to seek to serve through youth ministry?
I actually did not want to be a youth minister when I was growing up and in college and all of that. And I think it mainly came from my family is very involved in ministry. We always have been growing up. I was at every event helping out, and I did love it. But I also like I saw my mom works for the church, all that kind of thing, and I was like, I really don't want to work for a church. I love ministry, but no. And so yeah, I started helping on retreats when I was 12 years old. Yeah, and then I like just never stopped. I started volunteering with retreats through high school and then in college. And then I also was running a girls group in high school. And I was just like always around youth ministry type of things. Um, and working with younger kids. And I realized, I was like, oh, I love working with kids. So I'm going to go into psychology and become a social worker so I can work with kids in this way and help them. And I thought that's what, like my love for ministry, I thought that's what it was translating into. And then it took, it took God hitting me over the head to be like, hey, I'm calling you to ministry with just like, I had several friends in college. There's Alyssa, have you thought about going into ministry, like youth ministry? My family as well, asking me, like, are you sure, like social work, like, are you sure that's what that is, or I even had professors who would ask, or like I'd get papers back and like it'd be written at the bottom of my paper, and they were like, hey, have you thought about switching
Wow.
majors?
wow.
And it was just
So,
like
so
God.
God had to send you. He had to send you lots of messages through lots of people, huh?
Yes. I didn't hear it the first time. And yeah, so it actually took I was at a Catholic school, and so I was a psychology major, but I just added the theology major. Like, okay, well, okay, God, I'll keep both options open. How about, will that appease you? You know, like both options. And then it took that school actually shut down, St. Gregory's University. It shut down, and so I had to transfer. And it took that decision of like, oh my gosh, I'm having to transfer. Do I transfer to a good school for psychology, or do I transfer to another Catholic college so I can pursue theology and evangelization and ministry? And it was when I was having to make that major decision that I was like, oh, I'm going to have to continue with this ministry. That is definitely where God's calling me to be. So I went to Benedictine, and I majored in evangelization and catechesis and concentration in youth ministry. And I ended up here. So I was like, okay, God.
Oh, that's so interesting. So good that you went that way. It reminds me of a book I was recently reading, and it mentioned, like, especially in this country, that there's that kind of like pastor's child type syndrome where they go in the opposite direction, you know. But it talked about how if the children are engaged, like really engaged and brought into where they're really actually participating and you know, committing their own ideas and stuff to it, that they generally will stick with it and not go in that like opposite direction. So it sounds like, you know, your family did the right thing, and and all those professors and all that helping you stick with it.
Yeah, no, and they definitely, I would not be where I am today without my family and those professors and my friends all pushing me and guiding me. And I do joke. I say God had to shut down a university to get me to answer his call, but here I am.
Awesome.
That's kind of interesting. It happened to both of us. I was at Tulane when Katrina hit and shut down that one, so I was going the opposite direction as well and came here. So
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. So what can you tell us, like, how has your experience been so far at hOLA, and you know, what programs have you been working on?
I gotta say my experience has been, I've just been awed by the hospitality of hOLA and the willingness to serve. Like I was super nervous, especially starting in a pandemic, of just, oh my gosh, like how am I going to minister? How am I going to make a home here? And super nervous about that. But the amount of people who have just been super welcoming and super hospitable. And I don't know, can I do shout outs? Like shout outs to the Pink staff and shout outs to Ruth Ann, just for making me feel so welcome and like offering to help and giving their help before I even realized I needed it. That has just been amazing. Yeah. And just the willingness to serve, no matter like what I have asked for, like crazy ideas that I'm like, oh, we should try this. I've never really heard no, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but from the volunteers or from, you know, they're always just kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And I've just been like, okay. So, yeah, that's been my experience.
Yeah, well, and with that experience, and you can talk about the programs also, but you know, this last year being so unusual, I'm sure your reliance on the Holy Spirit, just like with leading you to youth ministry, had to be that much even more leaned on. And you know, what was in this past year the hardest part? You've talked about, you know, the great volunteers and everything around, but what was one of the hardest parts?
I would say there are like two hardest things. One was not seeing people. I am an extrovert, and I do feed off of other people's energies or bouncing ideas off of other people, and just not being around the staff and not being around my volunteers, I think has just been super hard to just like continue in ministry, but then also just not being around the teens, not being able to build that relationship with them. Um,
Yeah, because I
I,
mean, that's what led you to go into the ministry. So, yeah, that
yeah,
separation I'm sure was hard.
yeah. Funny story. Um, Actually, so Ruth Ann was helping lead a small group, and I was actually leading the small group with her over Zoom. And I think it was like 3 months of us like working together. And I was going to mass, and she, Ruth Ann is a greeter, and she would always greet me and just, "Hi, how are you doing?" It took 3 months before I realized that like that was Ruth Ann, and I had to go up and introduce myself, and like she didn't recognize me either. Like,
Oh, wow.
and she
Wow.
was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Alyssa." And I was like, "Yes." But we were like seeing each other Sunday morning in person and then seeing each other over Zoom in the evening and like not making the connection of like who each other were.
Oh, wow, that is
Wow.
funny. Yeah, I didn't think about that too much of how, you haven't really met anyone in person. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Second hardest thing is probably I've just felt like the whole world, or at least like our country, has had this weird attitude of just laying in wait. Um, and I've like really struggled with that because I'm very much like let's do it. Like the idea comes and like let's get it done. Like let's go. And I hate this like just wait. Like let's wait and see what comes. Like let's wait and see how the restrictions are doing, or like let's just like stay in this moment for a moment and just like see what's gonna happen. And that has just been like really hard for me of just like this lying in wait attitude of like, okay, we're just gonna stay where we're at and wait it out. Um, so yeah, two hardest
Yeah,
things for me.
yeah, and we and as Catholics, we a lot of our focus is on growing through the hardness or embracing the suffering. So, within those two things, do you think God was, seeking for you to grow in some way or to realize some different things?
Absolutely. Um, yeah. I think the biggest thing that God has called me to grow in the past year is humility. Um, Starting with just like as a youth minister, it can be easy to be up on, like in front of people, front person, on stage almost kind of thing. And the realization that like that's not important. Especially like right now. Yeah, I jokingly say, like, oh, they don't even know my name yet. Some of
Mhm.
them don't. And some of them make a joke about it and they call me a different name every time they see me. But it's just this, like, I am not who they need to meet. Um, I need to get them to encounter Christ. And like, that's the whole point of ministry, right? Is to create encounters with Christ, and that they don't need to know my name for that to happen. But then on the opposite side of that, humility, or, like every virtue is a golden mean, like as Aristotle says, like it's a happy middle. And so the one extreme can be becoming too prideful, but then the other extreme is self-loathing. And so this like lying in wait kind of thing, I feel like I've been called to be more, no, I do have a gift. I do have a calling. I I need to be doing things, and that like the humility in that, as well as like I'm called to serve here and I'm going to do it. So
That's awesome.
yeah, humility.
I think you're right. That balance has to be really thought out.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I can hear something in that still a little bit. You might not want to hear that resistance in the waiting, and almost think that that's like still an opportunity to almost explore a little bit, like what, kind of what is bringing that. I mean, obviously nobody likes to wait, but just hearing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
For sure.
moving on from that,
Uh-huh.
what are we going to get excited about? What are we looking forward to during the summer with the youth?
Mainly in the summer, I'm just looking forward to being able to see them. We have Catholic Heart Work Camp coming up, and I'm super pumped for it. Um,
Yay.
yeah, I just keep hearing how awesome it is, how much the teens love it. Even some of the teens have like
Mm-hmm.
come up and started talking to me about it, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love it. And I am so ready to be able to do something with them. And something that they're so excited about, because I think their excitement is definitely transferring into my excitement. We also have Hands from Home, which is a service week that's going to be in July. There's going to be mostly, like at home kind of service projects, but we're not competing. We are serving as a parish, but there's like awards and stuff for the parishes who has the most service hours. But we're going to have that. I'm also super excited that the 5 p.m. Mass on Sundays is going to be coming back. And I'm just really wanting to draw the teens into serving in ministry and serving in the Mass. And that, helping out with the music or EMHCs or ushers or greeters or whatever it is, and pulling the teens into that and so that they can be involved again in the church. Other than that, yeah, just like hanging out, getting to know each other.
And continuing the Tokos program also, right, in the summer.
Oh yeah. We will be doing Tokos Tuesdays still. Which, yeah, that's a funny story about how that came about. But I think there are going to be some changes to it. Still tacos, still prayer, but we are going to be moving into making it probably not weekly anymore, but making it a little bit bigger and having outdoor adoration with it and those kind of things. So
awesome.
I'm going to have to like drop into one of those. The taco
Please
thing
do.
really has me intrigued.
Yes, you should drop in on the nights that Isabel Patino is bringing tacos, because she brought tacos and they were literally the best tacos I've ever had in my life. So
okay, that has definitely sealed the deal then.
yes,
You'll have to put that on the calendar, Alyssa.
it's just when people are bringing tacos. The other thing to look forward to is I am trying to get Deacon David onto TikTok. So that will be coming out in the summer.
Oh, wow.
I'm creating an account for him and everything.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Excited for you and for this journey and for our youth, and it sounds like we're really gonna get going over the summer, and
I hope so.
Thank you so much for.
And I just want to say I can't wait for people to get to be around you more. You have such a vibrant spirit, the joy in serving. So for us to be able to start to get out of that waiting area and getting to meet other people, that'll be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, it's been great talking with you. I'd like to hear your stories, get to know a little more about your past and who you are. And we're so glad that we're able to provide this for the community to know you. And hopefully they'll get to actually see you very soon too.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you so much for letting me do this.
Definitely. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, that was a lot of fun getting to know Alyssa better, right?
Yes, absolutely. I just think what a gift she is to our youth. She shows such a vibrant light, and I can't wait to see her get to open up and do more with you. So that'll be really great.
Yes. Looking forward to the future of that. Yes.
Yes. And so something in her conversation with us, she talked about humility. And I know each week, each episode we share about our own spiritual journey. So her talk about humility, that's really been a focus for me lately. In fact, I have kind of forced myself in some situations to say to myself, get over yourself. It's not all about you. So in that too, I've been trying to say the litany of humility every chance that I can, especially when I'm in daily mass or something, just looking at Jesus and saying that. So I love to focus on humility because that's kind of speaking to my heart right now. Talking about our spiritual journeys, what's something that has been going on with you, Jennifer?
Well, I like your point, and that's something I think I will look up. So maybe, some of us can look that up because I'm not super familiar with that litany. So I'll look into that. But what something else kind of resonated for me with what she was saying, and I think it was kind of when she was talking about waiting, but for me more in a little bit of a spiritual sense, because I don't know, it can seem like a long journey, and lately I've been feeling like I'm either standing still or going backwards instead of going forwards with my spiritual journey, and kind of trying to reflect on that. I feel like it's probably a lot to do with just busyness, just this end of the year and summer plans and just so many things going on. So, I've been thinking a lot about the value of Sabbath lately, and just, for most of it's a really good time during summer to kind of slow down and focus on that. But it can be a little more difficult for me because things tend to be ramping up more with VBS and stuff. So just kind of struggling a little bit with finding that Sabbath and that space for me to slow down and focus more on that spiritual journey. Yes. So
sometimes we do have to force ourselves to slow down.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't come easy for me anyway, so.
Does it really for any mom or,
Yeah.
There's always, I think it's sometimes it's that thought of there's always laundry to do, something.
Definitely. Always. All right. So moving into our challenge, it kind of comes a little bit off of what we're talking about with summer. So we thought we would propose a summer challenge for you guys. And we want to get some feedback and some inclusion. So, we're hoping that you can do a couple different things. I'm going to put, in the show notes, kind of a listing for your reference and help. But some of the things would be like to explore your faith. So like visit a Catholic pilgrimage site. There's also a great website that you can do e-tours. So even if you can't get there, you can still do that. Or pick a saint that has a summer feast day. So there's quite a few of those, and you could read about their lives or celebrate them in a special way. Or just different ways of praying. Create a sacred space, indoors or out, or attend daily mass. And like we were talking about, don't forget to relax a bit, just spend some time with loved ones, or just go outside, or both. But if you get any pictures of any of these things, or just a short, hey, I did this, please, we would love to hear it. And we will feature those on our next episode. So if you send us something, we will give a shout out to that. So, and go ahead.
Please send us some photos.
Yes. It would be great to have photos. Definitely. We can include that in parish media. So that's what this is all about, connecting everybody. So, and go ahead and email us with that or with any news you have or an idea for a guest at podcast@OurLadyOfAngels.com.
All right. And that wraps up another episode. So until next time, adios, hOLA.